Oh, there it is. Okay, we're live on the lab today. Today's a smaller cast and crew today. We have Mike joining us,
Hello.
and Jordan's joining us, and of course I'm here, Jay, the lab technician, if you will. Uh, a busy week in previews for this week. A couple dials got leaked, specifically some new monthly OP kit stuff. And let's get started right away on that stuff so that we can get a good discussion going about it, because these are looking really good. Some of these figures are a lot better than some of the ones we've already got. And let's start with the oldest news for some of us, and that's going to be the White Queen from the Brotherhood kit, as we've delightfully called it. Hit the share there. Boom. All right. Now we have the. Can I zoom? I can't. I'm terrible with Max. All right. So White Queen's got a trait. Once per game, give White Queen a free action and place 5 Cuckoo bystander tokens as described on the card in adjacent squares. These characters cannot be given an action this turn. During the beginning of your turn, roll a d6. On a result of 5 or 6, actions given to friendly characters named Cuckoo don't count towards your action pool this turn, which is actually really cool when you think about how many actions that could possibly be. And this character fits into 122 points, so she can be squeezed into a 300-point game. White Queen can use Mind Control, and when she does, modify her attack value by +2. If a friendly character named Cuckoo has line of fire to a character or is adjacent to it, then White Queen's line of fire to that character isn't blocked. And then she got secondary mutation. When this power appears, stop turning the dial. White Queen can't be healed beyond this click and ignores all damage except pushing damage from this power, and damage transferred to her. This power can't be countered or ignored. When White Queen is the only friendly character on the map, deal her 1 unavoidable damage. White Queen has the... Oh, she's also got a white damage power, which is on the late dial there. White Queen has the X-Men team ability symbol. I'm guessing that's written down there because it's going to be nicely on the card. We're doing this from, of course, HC Realms, because they'll have all the information up there. Her ability, when used on the Hellfire Club team base, combat values of opposing characters within 4 squares can't be modified. This asset ability places the White Queen asset ability described on the team's card. So, what do you guys think, starting with Mike?
I like it. I think you get a lot for 122 points. It's 8 clicks long, which is a good hefty dial with a stop click right in the middle. I'm a big fan of stop clicks anyway, especially mid-dial rather than right at the end. I've been looking, in terms of lore, I really like White Queen and the Cuckoo stuff, just from the X-Men comics. Aside from that, having both Mind Control and Incapacitate, for the first, 3 clicks? Yeah, right off the top. Plus, you get the +2 to the Mind Control roll, which makes it really hard to miss, especially if you've got a resource and you're somehow modifying her stats otherwise as well. I don't know. I look at the once per game effect, and I always think Black Talon to double it up, because it creates another instance of it, and you can create 10 Cuckoos then, and then you're just cuckoo crazy, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Aside from that, I love Prob. Prob is my favorite ability, or power rather. So she's got it on the first 3 clicks, I believe, and that's it for me.
All right, Jordan, thoughts?
I think she's a really solid character. I enjoyed her a lot. I think that generally speaking, she's going to be potentially seen. Noted to be said about her movement power. It says her line of fire isn't blocked. She still needs range, so she instantly becomes a candidate, in my opinion, for a sniper rifle. So throttle her forward. Another really good thing that you would obviously want to combo with her would be like TK, so TK and a sniper. So every single power battery that gives you those 2 combinations would be really good with her. I think the whole Cuckoo thing is really, really, really good. Being able to get that extra mind control and the prob at a 12 attack is almost excessive, unless you're playing in, I guess, the deep meta where people are sitting at like 20 defenses potentially with some teams. Even still, 20 defense is only an 8 that you reroll twice, and if you fail, most cases she's not even in the danger to begin with. You have an Ezumi Cuckoo who's based or within range.
Also, I guess it's worth sharing is that the Cuckoo sit as a 5 movement, 9 attack with Psychic Blast, 16 defense with Super Senses, and 1 damage. So they're not fantastically overpowered. They're no Alyosha's Lions. They're not the Tawny the Tiger. but they are pretty decent. And if you think about the possibility of all of them attacking in a single turn on a 5 or 6, that could get scary even if 1 or 2 of them hit, because penetrating damage is penetrating damage, right?
Well, if you actually see the top comment on the cuckoos is what would go with the comment I just made about putting her with a power battery, because 2 of the best things that she would want out of them come together. Give them top 1 comment, give them a red power battery.
Yep.
So you can start giving out cuckoos penetrating poison.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're going to move on to the mastermind. This is going to be a new character. We don't have a picture of the figure just yet, and it's been a while since we've seen Mr. Wingard in the game. He's got 2 traits. One, he can be attached to the Brotherhood of Team Mutants team base in place of Toad. When he's attached, if Brotherhood of Mutants has the Toad acid ability, his acid ability goes off. So that's the obvious one. His other trait, Mastermind, can use Mind Control as if he had a range of 9. If he does and hits, if the opponent's force has 2 or more characters on the map, after actions resolve, you may remove any of Mastermind's Thrall tokens on that force and give the hit character a Thrall token. So it looks like they're just wording it so that there's only ever 1 Thrall token on your opponent's team at any one time. His white movement power, if you look, all of his powers are special powers on the dial. So it's
doesn't, but it says you may remove any of Mastermind's Thrall tokens on the force.
Yeah, you don't know.
Give the hit character a Thrall token. It's like 1 continuous sentence to do all of it in once. It's what it looks like it's worded. We're gonna have to.
Fair enough.
His special movement power, he can count range and draw lines of fire from any opposing character with a Thrall token. So it looks like a lot of this is going to deal with the Thrall token. Mastermind can use Mastermind. When he does, characters with the Thrall token are considered to be friendly and either adjacent to him or a lower point value. So if you happen to get to smaller character across the board, that guy is going to get hurt pretty bad if they are not attacking his precision strike when they're attacking you. His white or his damage power, he can use shape change once per turn. He can choose either outwit, perplex, or probability control. So whichever power you need at the right time, he has. And then when he's showing on his asset dial abilities, the team of base can use Mastermind and Mind Control. A lot going on in this small little package. Mike, thoughts?
He's tough. Really, really, really tough to take down. I mean, with the Mastermind ability, you'd have to get him really, really early in the game. I don't know. I think of putting Ion on him for the double down on powers and increased stats, because he is only 6'9", 16'1" for his top at his top dial rather. He's loaded. He's fully loaded. 75 points for that. I mean, it's only 4 clicks, but it's still. I think you get a lot for that. Yeah, I really like the mechanics. I like that. I mean, immediately when I think of drawing Lens of Fire from another place on the board, I think of Iron Pharaoh. But, I mean, this is a very, very different thing. And then being able to Mastermind to that character as well. And, yeah, I did read it the same way that Jordan read it. You may remove any of Mastermind's Thrall tokens on the Force and give the hit character a Thrall token. So you can just choose not to, or you can choose to make that person your Thrall. But, yes, it is an individual character on the opposing Force that would be the Thrall as a result. Really like it. Very good. I think it's going to be competitive.
Jordan?
I think he's really good. Generally more for casual play, I guess. What would make him overall, I guess, hardcore competitive is if you gave him stealth and then put him in a position where he would give a Thrall token to, say, a tent pole. He would basically almost, unless that tent pole had precision strike, be invincible to that tent pole. Tent pole would base him. He could then deal said damage to the character attacking him, because he would be considered. He'd be adjacent. He would be able to be considered a lower point value and a friendly character because of the Thrall token.
One thing worth mentioning there is that it's a choice of either that character is considered adjacent to him, or that character is definitely considered a lower point value.
Right.
So,
that's why you give them stealth, so they have to be adjacent to attack.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's also equally a good option. That said, my thoughts on it is he's very he's very like you said, he's very casual in the sense that there's a lot of things going into the major meta that's going to just one shot this guy. He's only able to take 4 damage. Though, so like a perplexed up bullseye is going to finish this guy off in one shot. I mean, granted that's 110 points versus 75. That it's all the payoff's not quite there, but I mean you don't get an exceptionally high deep dial with exceptionally high stats. You do got to put a lot more work into it at the 75 points. But that said, putting some work into it, you can give him a running shot hammer to use mind control in conjunction with the 9 range. So adding it to a 6 movement would be 3. So you get effectively a 12 range mind control with an 11 attack if you throw a running shot hammer on him. You do have to be careful with the character you do mind control because he will take the feedback damage, of course, which is a quarter of his dial. But otherwise, he's one of those characters you're either going to make effective use of or no use of. So your team is going to either effectively use this guy or there's no point in putting him on your team, really. A shame they didn't throw the Brotherhood of Mutants team ability on him. I know it's not the greatest team ability in the world, but when you got a collection of characters like the Brotherhood of Mutants, in my opinion, that are all very, very low in points, I find it very effective to have more of them with the team ability. So movement, like the positioning phase of the game, you're not spending too many actions on getting the characters in the right places.
Right.
That said, let's move on to the Scarlet Witch. So it's going to be the same model of the one that we already have on the team base. This one's got a trait. Once per turn after an attack roll has been determined, Scarlet Witch may give the attacker up to 3 Hex Magic tokens if the attacker is within range. So her range is 6, medium range on that. For each token she gives the attacker, reduce the attack total by 1. Opposing characters may be given a free action to remove a Hex token and modify any friendly character's attack value by +1 this turn. So it's kind of that back and forth payoff, but I'll get into that later. She can use super senses when she takes damage from an attack. Roll d6 on a 4 to 6. Deal the attacker 1 unavoidable damage. So it's kind of like a mini Mystics. It's not 100%. It's a 50-50 Mystics at best. When this team character is given a move action as a non-free action, sorry, this is her asset ability on the Brotherhood of Mutants team base. When this character is given a move action as a non-free action and actions resolve, roll d6. On a 4 to 6, remove an action token from this character, which on a team base could be pretty insane. Not a lot of them come, or not very many of them come with Colossal Stamina. This asset ability replaces, yeah, okay. She comes in at 75 points, so on her own. Mike, thoughts?
I like her. I think the top power is very, very quirky. Makes me think to use her with the Violet Battery, just to be able to double down on that damage when someone is actually attacking you. You know, double tick down. Plus the shape change always helps everything. Shape change is awesome. I think it's interesting how you're giving yourself the ability to hit them. Or actually, you're reducing their ability to hit you, but then you're increasing their ability to hit you as well. So it's give and take. It's just a very quirky mechanic. For 75 points, she's great. I mean, I think she's very, very good. I don't know. What do you think, Jordan? Jordan?
I think she's incredibly good. Her playing her with a green power battery for once would almost, I wouldn't say completely nullify her effect, because then it would just be a free action to basically get a Perplex on attack, which would be the same as using Perplex. So in the green power battery situation, you'd just be giving more options of Perplex for free. But being able to limit a lot of characters from being able to use that would be really effective. And then, so when you give the attacker 3 Hex token matches, that would be for good, right? And then it would be until somebody actually takes the free action to remove them.
Yeah.
So if it works exactly like that, giving her a Violet Battery, throwing a sniper on her, having her move around, outwit people, give double mystics if they hit her. She's using the Brotherhood team ability to move for free as well. So at 75 points, she ends up giving you quite a bit. If she gets attacked, she has a potential for double mystics because her defense ability isn't actually worded as mystics. So giving her mystics still gives the double ability. Outwit's outrageous. If they're within range and they don't want to just do anything, she can choose to then Psychic Blast them for 3 damage, which is also really good. And then, again, her trait, being able to do all that with a green power battery could really lock down a team's ability to make attack rolls.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you mentioned earlier, I want to add on to the Violet battery. A lot of people miss the emotional spectrum on the Violet battery. If you have the line of fire on opposing characters, her range is actually a lot higher, up to, of course, 9 in this case. And let's see, when she may give the attacker up to is within range. So it's only the range that's required. You don't actually require the line of fire. So if you have X number of characters within your line of fire, but another character outside the line of fire taking the ability, it could still potentially go off, and you could still use it. And I feel like this is one of those things where you can't just use it religiously or constantly. You kind of have to look at it in timing sense. Is this the time that I need to use this? Is this the attack that's going to change the game? Do I have options outside of this attack going down? And then that's going to be what happens a lot with regards to this character.
It'd be very good, actually, in that case, because generally when you play teams in the meta, you have 1 competent attacker or 2 competent attackers, and based on timing, you may not get both attacks in 1 turn.
Yep.
So if you can be like, hey, this is going to be the attack or the big attack of said turn, you use it.
Yep.
Then secondary attack doesn't hurt as hard or hurt as much.
Yeah. And this is also worth noting is that it's after the attack has been determined, so you can actually be sparing with the individual application of the tokens, and if they hit exactly, you make them miss by 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and only give away 1 token, so that's
right.
also a really good effect there.
Yeah, and then I find it bigger forcing your opponent to miss the attack as opposed to giving your opponent the +1 to attack, because they still have to roll that +1 to attack, and in this options to kind of get that attack out of your throat. So I find that she's going to be a character who's played by very patient players who know the timing of when to use that ability.
And as I mentioned, with a green power battery, actually just loading out with hex tokens so that their next couple attacks are also kind of botched without her having to use her ability again, it really limits what a team can do. If you have secondary attackers taking off tokens from the main attacker so that he can attack again, well, if it's not within the same turn, which most likely won't unless you're packing a Black Talon, she can always put hex tokens down on a tent pole. I think she's going to be really effective.
Yeah.
And it'll just be a matter of fitting her in from this point. But we're going to move now into the realm of DC, and we've got 3 new characters in that end too. We're going to start with the weirder one, to say the least. The composite Superman. I kind of want to call him the competent Superman with this selection of clicks. He's playable at 100 or 300, 200, and 100. But he's got if you look at him initially, he's got a blank dial. Nothing going on in this character. Only the monster keyword. And he's got a trait, all the powers of the Legion. Once per game, choose up to 4 characters with the Legion superheroes keywords and different names from your sideline and roll a d6 that can't be re-rolled. Turn their dial numbers to that click number matching the result. At the beginning of your turn, choose 1 character on your sideline that wasn't chosen last turn. Composite Superman can use the powers and combat abilities of the chosen character until your next turn. Give Composite Superman a power action, and you may roll a d6 and turn the 4 characters' dials to the click number matching the result. This is definitely an off-color weird one. You don't have a lot of control over what powers he has. Mike, let's start with your thoughts on this one.
I think it's pretty casual. I mean, it's very much in the vein of the P.E.K.K.A. power trend that we've been seeing lately, along with Animal Man as well, having the sideline characters giving powers. I don't know. I'm not that enthusiastic about it personally, but maybe I'm just not seeing it in a way that other people will see it. It's all going to be determined by the random luck of what number you roll, along with which Legion characters you actually have on your sideline, and then there's the whole determining how large a sideline actually can legally be, because we talked about that. Isn't it supposed to be like for a 300-point game, 300 points? So you'd have only a couple different characters to be able to use, possibly.
As we discussed on that, 3 characters per 100 points of the build. So if it's a 3.
Oh, okay. So it's up to 9 characters in that case then. Okay.
So you still get 5 afterwards. So depending on which characters you're actually packing, it may not even affect you at all.
Right. I don't know. Jordan, do you have a different take on it?
A little bit of a different take. I think he's extremely fun. First off, I don't want to say that he's necessarily meta, but instantly when I thought about him, I was like, what would be best to maximize his effects? And instantly I thought of Mon-El Prime. And when you look at Mon-El Prime, based on the way that the Composite Superman's worded, if the way he rolls determines which click number. So a 1, 2, and 3 are generally your best results because those are characters' general best clicks, or their top 3. Mon-El Prime was my first result, and having hypersonic speed, super strength is really fucking good. And then all of the defense abilities that he has there are impervious, and then he also has invincible if you roll a 3. Yeah. His 4, 5, and 6 I wouldn't recommend necessarily unless he's already based, and then in that case, go right ahead with his close combat expert or his flurry or his range combat expert potentially if you needed it. Quake, you would just kind of need to find another character who had a 4, 5, or 6, in which I would suggest maybe Ultra Boy, who's another character who, if you roll a 6, you can give him the hypersonic speed, super strength, and because it's not his stats, it's not Ultra Boy's stats, it would still be really effective with the Composite Superman. So that would be another 2-character kind of composition that you could run with already giving you a lot of options.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the going is said, it's definitely going to be a weird dial to work with. I do have to say one of the weirder dials to look at is definitely Wildfire. I personally do enjoy that 4th click if you roll a 4 on him, where he's got regeneration that he can use as a free action and subtract 3, or as a normal action and with a minimum result of 1, as well as poison and phasing. And that white defense power also comes with impervious. So imagining that on a dial that can actually throw down is kind of an exciting idea. But as it's a lot of a collection of a lot of weird powers, and picking and choosing them is really difficult. Like the Superboy is even another weird one where you can make use of Force Blast and Hypersonic, but you can only use Hypersonic with Super Strength on some of the clicks. 3 of which, of course, fall into the 3, 5, and 6. But he's also got some running shot with Energy Explosion. A couple of them have Invincible. So there's a large collection of weird things you can do with this character. Like you can even do a White Witch on him and really mess with your opponent, as in one manner. But yes, like the consensus is, this is going to be a character that sees more casual play than competitive play for sure. I've put my thoughts into some things that you can do with it, but none of them are going to win any tournaments anytime soon. Next. Now, unfortunately, Jay couldn't join us, but this is his favorite character of the bunch, and it is President Lex Luthor. Not much going on in this dial if you look at it, but it's it's the card that kind of betrays his awesomeness. In his first trait, You Are My Best Hope. During your first turn, during your first turn, choose a friendly character. During the beginning of your turn, give that character a free action and choose a number of distinct combat values equal to President Luthor's current click number. Each chosen combat value is modified by +1. He's got the $1 billion reward. Give him a free action and place a bounty token on an opposing character's card of 50 points or more. Remove any other bounty tokens on that force's card. So you can kind of move around this bounty token so that you can have one character that's always getting this bonus where a character with a bounty token on his card modifies his defense value by -1. During attacks, President Luthor is considered adjacent to any friendly character attacking or adjacent to an opposing character with a bounty token on its card. Very important once you start looking at what his dial does in the later 4 clicks. And then he's got the Fool the Entire Country power. He can use Mastermind. When he does, he's considered to be 200 points. He comes in at 98 points. A lot of keywords. Injustice League, Metropolis, Politician, Ruler, Scientist, Society, Superman, Revenge Squad. Mike, go.
Oh, he just does a lot. I've always liked the Lexes for the mastermind beyond his means, because I'm thinking about I think it was the Slosh Gravity Feed one that did something similar, where it was like you considered 150 points for mastermind. Maybe I'm making this up out of my head, but it's just memory. Um,
Maybe. Usually.
I like the mastermind mechanic anyway. And then mixing that defensive ability with the second trait, with the adjacency ruling rule there, I think it's going to be really really fun to play as. I'm not sure how competitive it would be, but I think we will definitely see some teams with him on it at some point.
Jordan?
I really like him, and I think the idea of him would work out in the meta. I just feel like at 100 points, he doesn't do it as effective point cost wise as he should. I feel like if he was 75 points, again, like the Scarlet Witch or the Mastermind, he'd have a bigger role or a potential role in the meta. But again, his biggest defense being only Mastermind is a little bit of a problem when Precision Strike does run pretty rampant, and then Pick a Power just destroys him.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I want to bring up, Mike, the Lex Luthor you're going back to is the Fast Forces Lex Luthor from the League of Fast Forces, and he's considered 200 points for his Mastermind as well.
Right.
And I at first I was a big fan of his figure, and then I saw his point cost, and then I kind of went a little tentative, considering that in the major game at 98 points you can add 2 more points, and I've got a Harley and another 50-point character who's also awesome.
Well,
That's a Banshee.
Powers. Yeah.
That's a Banshee.
Yeah. So that he's taking the slot of an attacker.
A big attacker.
So.
Not his favorite attacker.
As much as I really want to like this character, he just tells me he doesn't want to be liked on a whole. So, yeah, I'm going to move on to Lobo. Now, Lobo is one of the... He's really out there, and there's a lot going on with this character. So he's got the... I don't know how to properly pronounce this, so bear with me. I believe this is a Zarnian regeneration. When Lobo takes damage from an attack, place a drop of blood token on his card. Give Lobo a free action and remove a drop of blood token from his card. When you do, place a Lobo clone bystander token in an adjacent square as described on the back of this card. Lobo clones replace their combat values with Lobo's current printed combat values, and they can use any powers that Lobo can use. So they're basically little triple kick girl type things.
Yeah.
Movement. Special power, which he gets on the last 2 clicks. Lobo can use regeneration as a movement power. Okay. He may activate it as a free action, and if he does, he subtracts 3 from the D6 roll instead of 2. So that I've seen that again in Wildfire, as I mentioned before, where you get -3 to the roll instead. His white attack power, which he gets on the first 4 clicks. If Lobo is given the first non-free action of the turn, modify his speed and attack values by +1 until your next turn. At 200 points, I hope he's the first one to go. Considering that, given the points... anyway, I'll get into strategy later. And his white damage power, last man standing. When you give Lobo a non-free action, you may choose to modify his attack and damage values by +2 until your next turn. If you do, after action resolve, you can give friendly character... You can't give friendly characters an action until your next turn. All right. There's a lot going on with this character, but at 200 points, I guess it makes sense. Mike, thoughts?
This is actually the first time I'm looking at this character. But immediately, I look at the points 194 and I think, oh well, that's not going to be in the meta just because it's that high. But then I think of Yellow Battery and how that brings in higher point characters, and the fact that you mentioned the Triplicate Girl scenario where you could have a whole bunch of little Lobos with the same combat abilities as him, and with Ion giving two abilities at a time, or to all of them, or getting Pulse Wave from another entity, you could end up with something really particularly nasty, especially with Sniper Rifle, because the Sniper Rifle, I'm not sure if that actually qualifies as a replacement value. I think it is. It's a replacement combat value, so all of them have range of 10, like right there. And that's just disgusting. If Lobo is given the first
I just want to point out that he does say current printed combat values.
current printed okay, well that yeah. Well, there goes my break. Okay. Your turn.
Jordan.
I think I want to point out I don't think he's going to make a splash in the meta, but I could be wrong. But I would like to say I love him. I think it's an amazing character. It works out it just works out amazing. Just looking at him, I can already tell he's just going to be a monster. What could be destructive is giving him a wall. So now clones also get a wall. So now you're blocking off absolutely everything. You're blocking off close combat attacks. You're burying people in if you've got 2 people, because that's 6 tokens of barrier you're allowed to use. You can completely encase someone in and block attacks. Just some really troll moves. And then also being able to give him, any powers. Again, as Mike said, from Ion specifically, you could give him TK and then choose Outwit. So now you're getting, or does he have Outwit? Yeah, he has Outwit top out.
Yeah.
So now you're giving potentially, under the example that there was 2 clones out, you're giving TK about, so you can hit out characters who are in stealth, so that's an option right there. And then you're also safe on the point that they're now just beating the crap out of people, penetrating damage, or not really necessarily penetrating damage, but through defense abilities, because you have free Outwit.
Well, it's a Pog with 11 attack and 18 defense with Impervious.
Mm-hmm.
Like right away, that's insane.
That he's popping out for free for just taking damage. So instantly you think, just throw regen on him and have him as his job to free pop out Lobo tokens and power action regen all game.
Yep, absolutely. Now, initially, prior to actually reading the card, I was thinking of blind alling him to blood up all day, but because it's specifically damage from an attack, I kind of got told, no, you can't.
But you could load up your team with pulse waivers and just have him
just pulse
the attack.
That would ignore the ability though. It doesn't have can't be ignored on it.
Pulse wave would ignore everything when the attack is made. When the damage is being applied, is his trait still ignored?
Yeah, it would be ignored because it would have to be after actions resolve for it to actually trigger.
Yeah, so that's out.
Yeah,
that was what I was generally looking for.
When it comes down to it, though, I mean, this is a violent dial up until the end of Invincible, where even when he's on that last click with Invincible, he starts to get that last man standing power. At 194 points, he's generally what's going to be attacking on the team. But as a whole, this is going to be one of those characters I play in a lot of bigger fun games. As far as the grander meta, maybe Sinestro Core Battery with a nurse somewhere in there to keep his tokens coming at you. Really wish he flew. But the fact that he's indomitable is pretty cool too. I mean, he's going to give those tokens willpower, so that's a thing. It's his printed combat values, but it's all the powers that he can use.
He also drops below a 10 attack once on his dial, so that's also very impressive for Pogs.
And it's that point of do I regenerate or do I attack? Well, I got a 9 attack, let's regenerate. So, and even if he's double token, he can do it for free at that -3. You know, people poo-poo that, but I'm not gonna lie, that has bailed me out a lot of time. It worked better with Wildfire because it's a stop click, but still,
so good.
It's pretty awesome.
I was thinking about him with the white power battery even because, then you have the white ring ability on anybody who has a construct, and that gives you a stop click. Right, so you could have him with a couple other people. It wouldn't affect his Pog so much, but it's the once per game stop click that it gives you.
Well, you could pack enough constructs on a team like that you could start giving out constructs to the actual Pogs, and it would affect them in that way, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't, because they have to get to a KO click for it to stop it.
They don't actually
click. Yeah.
They don't actually. Yeah.
I want to point out the emotional spectrum ability on the White Lantern battery.
Well, that's the other piece that I was thinking about as well, right? Because you can give those little Pogs can power action and heal him back up very, very, very quickly.
Absolutely. So there's because he's got such a defense power heavy dial, he's really hard to hurt. I think one of the biggest things that kind of takes him a step back as well is he's outwittable. He doesn't have anything that's stopping his powers from being countered, which is a real shame because a simple outwit from a low point character is going to give this guy a goddamn nightmare.
But I mean, his duplicates is a trait. So you can still build little guys who can do as much damage as he can do.
Yep.
Although their stuff, I guess, would be outwitted as a result because it's whatever he can use, and he can't use those during the time he's outwitted.
Heroclix and choose to win.
Yeah, you totally can, and I think it's top dial. Hold on a second.
It's the only one that's top dial is Heroclix.
Oh, it is okay. It's his damage power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also perplex that they can down opponents' stats. So.
Right. Yeah.
Also a win-win in that case because it's like, hey, I potentially make my attacks easier to hit.
Yep.
Or no, I was going to say more powerful, but that would be perplexing, and I'm talking about deplexing.
Yeah. All right.
Figured out how to make him competitive.
Like as far as competitive goes, he's got his work cut out for him. But as far as table games, he's going to be a great ride. I'll play him in casual tournaments too. Where the build is weird or it's like a 400-point build. You'll probably see me bring him.
They put that Golden Age sculpt on his portrait there too.
I love it.
That's funny.
Yeah. I guess the next piece of news recently from the GAMA event that was being held in somewhere.
The place.
That place that they hold GAMA, I don't know where it is. I'm sorry. Vegas. There we go, Amber. Thank you very much, Amber.
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
We have a Superman Wonder Woman set coming out, and this picture shows two characters we haven't seen in a long time in the game, but we have seen in the game, and 3 characters we've recently seen in the game. Of course, Superman. Oh, he's taking his shirt off this time, lady. Wonder Woman, who looks like she's about to knock my door down. Lex Luthor, Crypto.
Ronnie in this sculpt.
Yeah, haven't seen him. He looks like he needs a couple biscuits. And Captain Atom, who we haven't seen in a while in this game. I don't know, kind of 3 of the figures that, having seen them recently, I'm less excited about, but seeing Crypto back in the game is going to be a little fun.
And Captain Atom.
Yeah, I like the sculpt of Superman, and I like how Wonder Woman is actually really brawny.
Yeah. Wonder Woman's all like, if I see one more bad sculpt.
I honestly, in addition to Crypto, kind of want to see Ace the Bat Hound. We've been begging. Me and my friend have been begging for him for years. We want him now. I wouldn't mind seeing the Super Friend pets or whatever as the chase set in this. I'd chase him in a second.
Wasn't he also part of Pet Detectives, or am I just making that up?
I don't know. Give me Detective Chimp 2 while you're at it.
Yes!
So we saw that. What else do we have? Anything newsworthy? We've actually got a really close look here at the dial. Well, like there is a dial attached to these card holders, so there's going to be going on with this. Speculation. We'll see if there's going to be any stat bonuses, or if this is going to be like a team-based asset dial where it's kind of pointing out which cards you're allowed to use.
Disassemble.
Maybe there'll be a disassembled at the end of the dial. Who knows? I believe we've already talked about this one. The old school Avengers, this is the Age of Ultron starter kit. Wow, lens flare. I think. I had a great joke and I forgot the director's name now.
Much lens, such flare.
Who's the guy that did Spider-Man and is doing Star Wars?
J.J. Abrams? No.
J.J. Abrams took this picture, clearly. All right, joke is gone now. Another look at the Ant-Man box. The box is looking a lot bigger, but I think that I don't want to be honest. I wish it was cheaper, and it's being Canadian, it's not going to be any cheaper given our current dollar right now. That's all the news, I guess, from GAMA. I mean, there was some more pictures to be seen, but a lot of it is stuff we've already kind of shown on the show, so I don't want to go too deep into it from that point. But that said, let's talk about a discussion we've been hearing about a little bit locally. I've seen a lot of confusion of late for some folks. They're unfamiliar with the difference between an ROC tournament or the Rock tournaments and the difference between that and say a WizKids Run tournament. So while you guys are training for nationals, I just kind of want to put a PSA out here. Orange rules exist unless it says not for tournament use. This is very specific to that ruling is very specific to ROC run tournaments such as super qualifiers or the upcoming states and provincials, which is another thing a lot of people may see some confusion about. The states and provincials are being run by the ROC, the Rock, whereas WizKids is responsible for the nationals and the worlds, and that's their high-level tournament. I know locally there's been some confusion about that because we don't have a great deal of high-level competitive tournaments coming through, and we've just recently had the Rock blow through us quite a lot of fun. So there's
Lordy, big tournament.
It was much fun to be had.
Yep.
Lots of slapping.
Lots of slapping, you said?
Yeah, lots of slapping.
It was all relegated to the hotel room, I promise.
And on the battlefield.
Oh boy! Oh wait! I'm saying we're off topic, but I don't have a topic right now.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week of testing for myself and Amber. We've actually had to switch one of our teams up, and we have to actually start testing our new team right now. She's been broken. We had a couple friends over this weekend to do some more testing for them to get a chance at running the gauntlet of things, as well as to see to give them some advice and whatnot. I had one guy who is still trying to run up the skulls, and we're pretty sure the speed of it is a big issue. The fact that the power battery throws things on and lets you just go, where the Book of Skulls requires you to be out a certain distance and requires you taking further actions to kind of keep things going.
Yeah, you're really, really vulnerable.
Yeah, you're kind of, to a certain degree, stuck there. And then dropping the Quake becomes a big question because of the damage depletion modifier. A lot of people miss that. The damage depletion with because you're taking an attack with the Quake, even though the damage is locked for the Quake, you're still taking an attack. And any further attacks after that free attack with the Quake, you're going to be taking -1 damage. It was something that I remembered a couple times when I was in Nationals last year, and it was really having an effect on my team.
But if you do the reverse, it still works out because
absolutely, because you are at a locked damage on the Quake. So kind of, you gotta mitigate whether you're gonna take the lower attack for the higher damage or the higher attack for the lower damage, but twice. Once again, because the first attack will be at the lower attack.
To be honest, I would love to run a Book of Skulls. The only problem is that you have to run Split Lip, and then he becomes a 20-point investment in your team that doesn't do an incredible amount when you're facing a green power battery.
With the return of the CSA, he's very good. Because
no, but you got to think about it in the aspect that when you're playing a green power battery, his effect at 20 points becomes useless, and now you're paying 20 points for a character to just be CSA. Well, why not add a blind owl and at least get something out of it?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, I agree.
And that's where I'm kind of going there, is that now your resource that's supposed to work fundamentally doesn't work to its fundamental core because of another resource. Right. So why not just go with the resource that is just place a construct? Green power batteries don't ruin other green power batteries.
No, it's true. It's true. You can't really argue with that. I don't know. I'm trying to get away from using stuff that is going to get cut really, really soon, and we don't really know when exactly. So I'm trying to stay with stuff that is very, very current. What?
I said Book of Skulls, drop hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of in that same book with Mike, but I think we're too late to worry about age for the cuts of modern age for nationals. I do believe that we do have to consider a lot of the things that are still in the modern meta until post nationals. I think that we do have to keep things in consideration, especially with a lot of the stuff that's dangerous in Wolverine and the X-Men, where Shatterstar can really force a lot of tighter games, and you have to speed up your game. You have to be ready for the ability to do that. There's some teams where You can use like Brother Voodoo is still a very pertinent character in this metagame until those things go away. I often find myself caught off guard by Dark Phoenixes from 10th Anniversary. Those things scare me sometimes. You know, the 10 range, even at 100 points, she's a nightmare. She's caused quite a few nightmares in games that I have played.
Wasn't she at one of the Winamaps that you went to as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was actually my first round. I was playing against that Captain Cold at Proximo because I don't think that guy wanted to do any complex mathematics with his team. Because if you know that all three of those characters cost exactly 100 points. Let's just say adding in the Captain Cold to my already terrible results with the Pulse Wave did not make for a very good game on that one. So actually, two of them showed up for that tournament specifically. One of which made it to the finals. So
there you go.
And that's the thing is, it's hard. One of the things that's hardest to test for is the wild card team, the team you didn't see coming, the team nobody built, the team nobody's played before. As well as the overall strategy nobody was expecting to come across, and you may not have tested against. It was one of the issues I ran into myself last year in Nationals. I hadn't tested enough against enough weaponers because I had said I had got weaponer was good in the War of Light Sealed, and he probably wasn't going to see play in Constructed. And then one went and beat myself and World Champ Patrick, and ended up getting into the top 4. And if you kind of look at it, a lot of people kind of discounted the character and said, he can't be that great. I mean, is he really going to affect the game? And he did.
Well, I heard, I played that team too, and all I heard was weak to map roll, weak to map roll, weak to map roll. I still made it in top 32, and I'd only been playing for 4 months at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's a very good player, or a character rather.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is like if you didn't test against it and you weren't sure about it, were you ready for it? And his came kitted with some nice tech with the utility belt, and he packed a night vision goggles, which add that to Bill was, oh wow, obnoxious as heck to play against. And that's one of those things to test or when you're testing is come up with something completely weird, off the wall. In your gauntlet of testing, I refer to the gauntlet, of course, as you take the list of high-end tournaments that are being played, specifically the Rocks, once April hits. Start looking at the teams in there, gauntlet against those, but then have your buddies build a team just that completely doesn't follow any of the standard.
I've been playing against some crazy ones actually. My friend Mike comes over and brings his nastiness, and he's actually a really good player. So I've had my current day 1 team put through the ringer, hoping to be able to make it out to Mississauga or have you guys come down and try it against your teams again. Although I did play something similar against one of your teams recently, and neither team really won. It was just, a stalemate with a roll-off.
It was one of those situations is like, I'm trying to do things and they're just not happening, so I need to get out of here, or you're going to do things and it's going to hurt, so I need to stop you from doing the things since my things aren't happening.
Yeah.
And if my things would have done the things, it probably could have turned out differently, but it did come down to a stalemate. I remember that game very distinctly, and I was looking at like, it made me kind of turn around and go, I might play that team day 2, and that's if I'm really up for the occasional game where I do have to have a map roll come down to the end, because that's not something I'm comfortable with. I do believe in letting the points kind of decide the game, even if it comes to time. I want there to be a clear winner. I want something to have died. Even if it's mine, I don't mind if I'm the loser. I definitely like the definition. I don't trust dice. I don't trust them.
Roll off is
definitely less nerve-wracking.
Yeah. So. And it's one of those things I'm taking into consideration when building teams. Like, am I going to make sure something dies in this game? And if I do, am I going a little too reckless with regards to the possibility of my stuff dying as well? And of course, my style of play is very reckless. For those of you familiar with me and the way I play, especially when I get into that high-level stuff, is I kind of roll the YOLO flag, if you will.
Oh man, yeah. That team needs more mobility.
Like I said, I've probably scrapped that team, to be brutally honest. So I'm moving on to
day 1 and a day 2 team. That's it.
that is another thing I would definitely stress is playing a day 1 and day 2 team. A day 1 team is, of course, a team you know is going to play very well against a lot of teams, and then a day 2 team, which is going to be your off-the-wall, catch-them-off-guard team.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that day 1 is the grind. You want to go, in the Canadian Nationals specifically, you want to go at bare minimum 2-1 with at least a healthy 1 loss where you scored more than 100, 200 points, and make sure your 2 wins are definitely clear-cut wins. That will generally secure your spot in the top 8 of your grinder match or your grinder tournament. Whereas, if you get into the 3-0, of course, you're guaranteed. And there's that. So it's those 2 things to consider. Is like the day 1 team, you need the points and you need to get through.
Well, you should plan to be able to play 9 to 12 games because there's going to be 2 seals and 2 constructeds. Mm-hmm. And as much as we like to think, I'm gonna win on my first qualifier, you really don't know what's going to be there. It is a national championship, and so you may not win your first one, but you need to be able to reliably sustain yourself through that duration. And so, for me, keeping the team relatively simple, so that there aren't too many little sniggly mechanics. That way, by the end of it, I'm still remembering everything. Whereas day 2 is different. Day 2 is shorter, and you can have a little bit more complex a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And the day 2 team as well. The points matter a lot less. Well, there is still those 3 rounds of Swiss now that you have to get through before you cut into single elimination. Where unlike last year, where it was just single elimination, try to win, this year you've got to get through the 3 Swiss rounds. So you're kind of also thinking with the safety of, can I definitely win and go for 3-0, be in the top 4, and get seeded against a lower player, or are you going to play once again a very safe, definite 2-1 with good with a good matchup or good fight in the 1 round. I mean, I got 18th. 18th in the Nationals last year, where I had only scored, I believe, 40 points, or was it 30? I killed Bill. And now I think that was about it. Bill died, and then that's all I scored, but that 30 points puts you high. So you got to try to score points in those games where, if it's not looking good, get something. Because if you have a team that you're sure can kill an opposing team, and you think about your 2 rounds and you get those full kills, I can go on at length about this. I think I just wrote it. I just wrote the script to my next episode. Amber, get the camera ready.
I gotta do it right now.
Planning on for championships, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I would definitely also. The tournament kit includes caffeine, water, small snacks, and your stuff. Make sure you have
caffeine. I need taurine.
Yeah.
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 Guarana.
Yeah, caffeine, taurine. I mean, if you're an energy drinker, keep one handy. It's a lengthy process to get through the day, especially if you're playing in all 4 of the tournaments, regardless of wins or losses. I know I plan on doing all 4 tournaments because I want to play that much Heroclix. I love this game. I was actually kind of jealous. I got halfway through the day and Amber was still playing in the grinder. She had to play up till the 4th one, and I was there and I was like, I'm either gonna spend money or I need to play Heroclix soon. So I stepped out and did some unpacking in the hotel as well, just to kind of make myself comfortable. And then I went and grabbed drinks across the street, for the night of.
I don't think that anything else is going to be out before then either. On the 24th, nothing else is going to be legal before then, except maybe, is there a Fast Forces coming out?
There will be the Age of Ultron sets. Sorry, the Age of Ultron set is dated for April 1st. That could be a big joke, or that could just, we could just run into the usual delays that we've been running into. Although the labor dispute on the West is actually has ended, is my understanding. And that Age of Ultron set, even if it's delayed a week, it's legal for ours, and that's the 2015 rulebook. So we could have some big changes to the rules that might actually make nasty changes to some of our teams in regards to how things work. I would love to see Poison no longer be a free action. And just kind of like probability controls, like beginning of the turn it happens. but I'm wishful thinking at best.
Don't mess with my poison. That's my poison.
I don't think those changes are necessarily going to be made, but it'd be interesting, to say the least.
It's one of those things where it's like I can speculate all I want, but the rules have already been made for 2015 as far as I'm concerned, because these things have already been sent out to the necessary distributors as far as I'm understanding the schedule that I heard from, I believe, a post Justin Zern made on Facebook sometime.
I heard
Yeah.
that Pulse Wave is no longer going to affect powers and abilities bestowed by resources. That's what I heard.
That's
No, I'm totally full of shit. I just made that up just now.
We gotta stop making stuff up. Seriously, it's not April yet. Too soon. HC Realms? Too soon.
No, we know you're watching.
We love you guys over at HC Realms. We love the kids section, of course, because we featured it on the show. Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Well, all right. So that seems to be the show for today. Mike, anything you want to add before we go?
No, I just need to get more playtesting in. Really, really looking forward to something that's happening on the 24th of April. I mean, that's over a month away, and I feel like I'm already there.
All right. Jordan, anything you want to discuss before we end the show?
I love Heroclix.
Who doesn't? I mean, if you're watching this show, you better, right? I'm going
to name my firstborn son Dial.
I'm going to double check, make sure we didn't get any last-second questions on any of the comments anywhere.
Any questions?
Being ready and everything like that. I'm all over the place here. Checking for fan questions. Let's see if anybody got them. Oh, okay, here we go. So somebody wants us to talk about the new Speedy, Aqualad, and Starfire Coriander OP kit figures.
Oh yeah.
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually do Mr. Don Profit according to his YouTube account. I'm going to pull that up right now on HC Realms, as a matter of fact, because those were officially released this month or early this month, and some of them are pretty cool. I don't know if HC Realms has the Speedy errata. I know Speedy did get errata. I don't know how big an
upsetting.
With regards to it,
is that the after actions resolve has been removed.
Okay, so the wording of after actions resolved has been removed from his ability. So let's check this. Let's start with Aqualad. So starting with his trait, when Aqualad occupies water terrain, modify his speed and attack values by +2 until your next turn. Excuse me. His defense power on top of a 16 defense. Ouch. Aqualad can use toughness. If he's within 3 squares of water terrain, he can use invulnerability. This is a 99-point figure. His white damage power on his last 2 clicks, Atlantean Magician. When this power first appears, stop turning the dial, so it is a stop click. So, and just based on when he gets it, Blue Devil could kill him. When this power first appears, stop turning the dial. He can use Perplex and Probability Control, and he can use either to target any character on the map with a shared keyword. This power can't be ignored. And that's Atlantis, Mystical, and Teen Titans. Mystical is a huge one for that Perplex and Prop. And then this character can use... Oh, and he gives the Teen Titans base Hypersonic and Swim. I don't know. Let's start with Mike. Mike, thoughts?
I like the Hypersonic for the base. I don't think he's worth his points. I have him right here, actually. There you go. Woo! Yeah, I don't know. I don't find him that compelling or interesting, and the sculpt is ugly, and I just want to melt him with a lighter.
Jordan.
I think if you can somehow get him on an Atlantis team, and you only want to play him with this guy over here, Ocean Master. Otherwise, I think he's really bad.
Yeah, he's
for 100 points. Oh God!
If you can guarantee map choice and play on the Pacific Ocean, by all means, he's still gonna suck. That 16 defense is just murderous to everything that he is, and he only gets the bonus to speed and attack in water, so he's purely offensive. Hey, yeah, I'm not offended. Like Let's move on to Speedy. So Speedy's got a trait. He replaces Wonder Girl. During the beginning of your turn, place 2 location markers in squares of clear terrain. The first marker must be within 3 squares in line of fire. The second marker must be within 3 squares in line of fire of the first marker. When Speedy makes ranged combat attack, he may draw a line of fire and count range from any one of his location markers. And you said at the end of the turn, remove the location markers? Okay. His other ability. And at the end of the turn, removes location markers from the map. Oh, and his white attack power, when Speedy makes a ranged combat attack and actions resolve, so that's no longer there. When he makes an attack, modifies attack and damage values by +1. When Speedy hits with a ranged combat attack and actions was... Sorry, that's not there anymore?
No, that one is.
That one, and actions resolve. Fascinate as a free action, but only to target hit characters. And then he adds ranged combat attack and attack and range by +2 to the Teen Titans team base. He comes in at 93 points. Mike?
I thought the mechanic where you put in the bank shot mechanic, where you put down the 2 location markers, was really kind of cool because you could shoot around corners and everything else like that. His attack value is really, really low to begin with, but I mean that can always be modified up, but only by so much. So I'm not sure really.
Well, his attack power makes it a standard 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does make it a standard 10 in that way, but then you can only modify it by +2 then because it's rule of 3, right? So you can only go up to a possible 12. Maybe I'm being greedy for 93 points, but I like 13s because I roll really crappily, and I mean he has my favorite movement power. I'll give him that. Sidestep, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You mean jazz step?
What's that?
You mean jazz step?
Jazz step. That's it. You gotta go like this.
I'm so glad I wasn't on camera when I did that.
It's your turn.
Jordan, go.
I really liked it, or I should say, I really liked him before the errata, so he could basically always get to a 12 attack after 3, and then have 5 damage, which would be absolutely bonkers.
It'd be monstrous, yeah.
But unfortunately, they won't let me have my fun with my red arrow. Although this iteration at almost 100 points, I don't think is useless. I just really would have wished if he had maybe stealth to combo with his combat reflexes and really maximize him out at 100 points, because I feel like he's still overcosted at what he is without it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm pretty much on the same boat there, where he was really, really strong when that ability first showed, and now he's just kind of an okay archer. But at 93 points, he's an okay archer for 93 points.
Yeah.
And then you compare that to, say, I guess the standard of archers, and that would be Chaos War Hawkeye, who's what, a little bit more expensive. Let me check
5
out 1
points more.
second. 5 points more, and
100 times better.
infinitely
times
better.
Yeah. So we'll now move on to Miss Starfire. 100 points. She's got the Outsider's team ability. Improved movement ignores characters. If Coriander moved during your last turn, modify your defense value by -1 against ranged combat attacks. A little bit of a pain thing, but let's get into it a little later. She can use Energy Shield, Deflection, and Willpower as her defense power. This is special defense power on 1, 3, 5, and 7. She's got a white damage power late in the dial. She can use Ranged Combat Expert. When she does, she can activate it as a ranged combat action instead of a power action to go with the running shot on 2 of those clicks.
Great, yeah.
And she replaces the Starfire on the Outsiders or Outlaws team base. This team character can use Ranged Combat Expert and the Wing symbol. This asset ability replaces the Starfire asset ability. Yeah. So I personally, I think the original Starfires on the Outsider was something to the effect of Energy Explosion and Psychic Blast. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that combination. But this character on its own is kind of stands out. So Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, it ignores characters. I look at that right away. Any fig that ignores characters for 100 points for movement is pretty good in my books. I do like the RCE ability. I mean, running shot with Ranged Combat Expert is insane. Nice 3 clicks of Pulse Wave right in the middle, 2 of which have running shot with them. And I mean, when you put her in a competitive team with something that's modifying her and giving her a running shot for the rest of the clicks, it looks like a pretty solid figure to me. Outsiders is a great team ability. Yeah, I don't know. I think that this could be seen at some point, but I still, as soon as I see 100 points, I think too much in a lot of cases. So I'm not sure, but I mean, eight clicks is a lot. It's plenty.
Yep.
Anyway.
Jordan.
I think she's really solid as an attacker who can essentially always hypersonic speed without getting the negative because she can just outsider herself.
Yep.
Which then feeds into the whole thing that her balance in what her stats actually give in points is the fact that she gets that whole negative if she makes a movement, but she can outsiders that. So her own negative is caught up, or I guess turned to nothing when you realize she has outsiders. Also, the only difference between this Starfire and the old Starfire is the fact the old one gave toughness in her defensibility. She actually didn't start with an attack power, the old Starfire. So, and was 14 points more. So, hypersonic speed, precision strike, or running shot, shape change. So,
yeah, I have to say, as a character at 100 points, who at her best is taken at face value, like you can't really put a lot into this character and expect a lot back from things you can do. Now you can lead into the turn with some perplexes and some bonuses to some stats, and then come back, but then you're back at base because you have to outsiders yourself, or you have to actually, to get the move and attack, let's just say, you have to outsiders. So you're getting this character at face value for the most part. Played at her best. And that's when you're using the transporter until you switch to mid-dial where you're running shot pulse waving, and then you're escaping in the late dial with running shot and range combat expert. So I'd be playing that like kind of defensively, and then you're actually starting to outsiders your opponent in that case. She's one of those ones that's going to be a little tricky to play where characters with a negative become more difficult, as we've seen with Johnny Quick. You're kind of laying out the positives and the negatives. I personally think this is a great character for 100 points at her face value, which is all you get out of her at full effectiveness. But as well, she can also benefit from a turn where she stays still, because then you can avoid a turn where she outsiders herself and get that 20 defense at range. So, and 7 range is really good. Standing still or a 4-range hypersonic is really reasonable. It kind of increases your swing, reduces the amount of movement you have to take in order to run away from it. So I'd say out of the 3 of them, this is the one that stands out as the best, most playable and competitive. It's still a little tricky. It is still taking up a third of your team, but if you happen to have built yourself into a point where it's like you don't know how to spend 100 points, you could go with this, or you could go with Proxima, depending on what you've managed to earn in the game or have. And you still got the warrior keyword on this. She, much like Proxima, can benefit from Jason of Sparta. Oops, I might have said too much already. So hopefully, Don Prophet, you got what you wanted out of that. I don't see many other questions surfacing at this point. So if there's nothing else at this point, guys, that you want to add at the last second, we are going to call it a day. Oh, and so he said thank you. You're welcome, Don.
You're welcome, Don.
So this has been another week with the Metal Lab. Thank you guys for joining us, viewers live, and if you're watching the archive, also thank you for viewing. And don't forget, folks, practice makes your team better, and Mike wants practice.